There was certainly an element of making my grandfather proud and honouring him by taking part in the award that has been so much of his life's work. And I definitely hope that I have made him proud.
What if I told you that Queen Elizabeth II's most powerful message wasn't delivered in a speech or a grand public moment, but quietly, through a private will? In that will, she chose to pass something deeply personal, not to a senior royal, not to the future king, and not even to the wife of her son, but to a young woman. That young woman was Lady Louise Windsor. She inherited a cottage on the Balmoral estate, a place that meant everything to the Queen. Balmoral wasn't just another royal residence. It was her escape, her sanctuary, the place she returned to every summer to step away from duty and simply be herself. It's also where she passed away in September 2022. Recent reports suggest that Prince William took steps to ensure this inheritance was honored. Interestingly, Queen Camilla had no involvement in this decision at all. So what really happened here, and why does it matter? To understand the weight of this inheritance, you need to understand Balmoral. The estate, originally purchased in 1852 by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, is privately owned by the monarch, not the state. That means Queen Elizabeth II had complete control over who received parts of it. And out of everyone in the royal family, she chose Louise. This wasn't just about property. It was about trust, about emotional closeness. You don't give someone a piece of your most personal retreat unless they truly matter to you. So, who is Louise? And why did she matter so much? Lady Louise Windsor has always stayed out of the spotlight. The daughter of Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. She grew up away from the chaos that often surrounds a monarchy. She chose not to use the title of princess, preferring a quieter, more normal life. She studies, keeps a low profile, and rarely seeks attention. In a family often defined by headlines, that kind of restraint stands out. She also shared a special bond with Prince Philip. He personally taught her carriage driving, a passion he deeply loved. After his death in 2021, Louise honored him by driving his carriage during a tribute, a moment that quietly moved millions. Queen Elizabeth II saw all of this. She saw Louise's loyalty, her discipline, her quiet strength. And in a family where those qualities aren't always guaranteed, they mattered. That's what makes this inheritance so powerful. Now, here's where things take an interesting turn. After the Queen's passing, Balmoral came under the control of King Charles III. Technically, that means any property within it falls under his authority. So for Louise to actually receive that cottage, senior members of the family needed to support the decision. And this is where Prince William stepped in. According to insiders, he didn't just approve. He actively made sure the inheritance went through smoothly. In a royal system known for its complexity and internal tensions, that kind of support is significant. Why would William do this? Because it reflects the kind of monarchy he's preparing to lead. He has seen what happens when members of the family feel unsupported. He watched Prince Harry step away from royal life and speak openly about feeling isolated. Whether you agree with Harry or not, that situation clearly left an impression on William. Louise represents the opposite path, loyal, quiet, committed. By backing her, William is sending a message. Those who serve without drama will be protected. And then there's the most sensitive part of the story. Queen Camilla was not part of this decision. That absence speaks volumes. Despite her current position beside King Charles III, this moment suggests that when it comes to personal trust and emotional legacy, she may not hold the same place in the late Queen's inner circle. A will is one of the few things untouched by public pressure or royal protocol. It reveals what someone truly feels, away from cameras, away from expectations. And in that private moment, Queen Elizabeth II made her choice clear. She chose Louise. Not power, not status, not politics, but quiet loyalty. When we say Queen Camilla was left out of the inheritance story, we mean something deeper than just property. We're talking about emotion, history, and the quiet signals that define relationships inside the royal family. Queen Elizabeth II never publicly shared her inner thoughts. She didn't give interviews explaining her feelings. Instead, she left behind a lifetime of careful choices and ultimately a will. To understand what her decision really meant, we have to look at the past. The relationship between King Charles III and Queen Camilla began in the early 1970s, long before Charles married Diana, Princess of Wales, in 1981. But that relationship didn't end. It continued during the marriage, something both Charles and Camilla later admitted. The impact on Diana was devastating, and the public saw it clearly. In her famous 1995 interview, Diana, Princess of Wales, told Martin Bashir, "There were 3 of us in this marriage." More than 20 million people in the UK watched that moment. It reshaped how the public viewed Charles, Camilla, and the monarchy itself. But beyond public opinion, there was a mother watching all of this unfold. Queen Elizabeth II valued loyalty above almost everything. She saw Diana's pain. She witnessed her son's very public struggles. And she knew exactly what role Camilla had played in that chapter of royal history. Even years later, subtle moments revealed the complexity of her feelings. When Charles married Camilla on April 9, 2005, Queen Elizabeth II did not attend the civil ceremony. Officially, she chose to attend a reception later at Windsor Castle. But the absence was noticed. A queen, a mother, not present at her son's wedding. Then came the question of Camilla's title. For years, the plan was that Camilla would be known as Princess Consort when Charles became king, a title designed to soften public resistance. Only later, after private discussions, did Queen Elizabeth II publicly express her wish for Camilla to be known as Queen Consort, announcing it during the Platinum Jubilee of Elizabeth II. But even that support came carefully, quietly, almost cautiously. And that's the key point. A monarch who fully and instinctively supported someone wouldn't need years of adjustment, negotiation, and timing. Those details reveal nuance, acceptance, but not complete emotional closeness. So when a deeply personal part of her private estate appears to have gone to Lady Louise Windsor instead of senior royals like Camilla, it fits a pattern. It doesn't shock. It explains. Now, there's something important to address for credibility. Royal wills in the United Kingdom are sealed. In fact, after the death of Prince Philip, a High Court ruling confirmed that his will would remain private for at least 90 years. The same applies to Queen Elizabeth II. So no, we don't have full access to her will. What we do have are consistent patterns. Royal historians often say that Elizabeth expressed her true feelings through actions, not words. Through who she invited to Balmoral, who she spent time with, who she trusted in private moments. In her later years, one family stood out. Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, became one of her closest confidants. Alongside Prince Edward, she stepped up during a time when other members stepped back. After Prince Harry and Meghan Markle moved away from royal duties, Sophie and Edward filled that space, quietly, reliably. Elizabeth rewarded that loyalty in personal ways. A gifted brooch, shared time, trust. And within that circle was Lady Louise Windsor. She didn't seek attention. She didn't give interviews. She didn't turn private life into public narrative. She supported Prince Philip, honored his legacy, and stayed grounded. In Elizabeth's world, where duty, discretion, and loyalty were everything, that made her stand out. The will may be sealed, but the message isn't. Queen Elizabeth II spent over 70 years showing the world what she valued. You just had to notice it. Interpreting royal actions as reflections of private feelings isn't guesswork. It's how the royal family communicates. Once you understand that language, the message becomes much clearer. Now step back and look at the bigger picture. This story about a cottage and an inheritance is just one small piece of a much larger shift happening inside the British monarchy. And that shift became impossible to ignore in February 2024, when King Charles III was diagnosed with cancer following treatment. While the palace kept details limited, one thing became obvious. His workload had to change. That created space for Prince William to step forward. And he didn't hesitate. William isn't just preparing for the future anymore. He's actively stepping into it. He's taking on responsibilities, representing the crown, and quietly shaping what the monarchy will look like next. In many ways, he's already operating like a transition figure between reigns. But here's what matters most. As he steps up, he's also making decisions about people. Who stays close? Who gets responsibility? Who becomes part of the inner circle? One group that clearly stands out is Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. They've taken on more duties and are increasingly visible. Their reliability, discretion, and loyalty align closely with the values that Queen Elizabeth II upheld throughout her life. And within that circle is Lady Louise Windsor. Her inclusion isn't loud. It's not announced. But it's there, in trust, in presence, in moments that matter. The cottage at the Balmoral estate becomes symbolic in this context. It's not just a place, it's a signal of belonging. At the same time, others are clearly moving in the opposite direction. Prince Andrew has stepped away from royal duties after his association with Jeffrey Epstein and the fallout from his BBC interview. His role is effectively gone. Prince Harry has built a life in the United States, far from the daily structure of the monarchy. His public disclosures have made reintegration into royal life extremely unlikely. And then there is Queen Camilla. Despite her official position, her place in William's emerging inner circle appears less defined. She is central to Charles's reign, but not necessarily to what comes after. That's where the idea of two structures becomes important. There is the formal monarchy, titles, roles, protocol. And then there is the emotional monarchy, trust, closeness, influence. Right now, that emotional structure is shifting. And Lady Louise Windsor is part of that shift. Looking ahead, her future remains open. At 21, studying at the University of St. Andrews, the same place where Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, first met, she has a choice to make. She can continue living privately, staying largely out of the spotlight. Or she can step forward and take on a more active role in supporting the monarchy as it evolves. Given the reduced number of working royals, that decision could become increasingly important. As for Queen Camilla, her future carries a different kind of uncertainty. When the transition eventually happens and William becomes king, her role will change significantly. Without a close personal bond with him, that shift could feel isolating. Meanwhile, even places like Balmoral are adapting. Financial pressures and modernization efforts under King Charles III are reshaping how royal estates are managed. But the cottage given to Louise stands apart, protected not just by ownership, but by meaning. In the end, Queen Elizabeth II's legacy isn't just found in history books or public speeches. It's found in choices. Quiet, deliberate choices that reveal what she truly valued. Loyalty, discretion, and a sense of duty that doesn't seek attention. The monarchy is changing. Power is shifting. Relationships are evolving. And sometimes, the clearest message isn't spoken at all. It's simply passed on. So the real question is, what do you think her final message to the royal family was?